Ladies and gentlemen, I am very excited to introduce to the Risk Life News show for the first time, Mr. Bernd. Help me out with your last name.
Actually, when you did the Instagram story and announced the interview, I was surprised that you didn't, as an American, that you didn't butcher my name. So you can do it. So you can. I let you do it first. It was so well done. I was really surprised.
That's good. That's good to hear. I'm glad I didn't butcher it too much. So what I would think would be Bernd Skorupinski.
That's perfect. Yes, exactly. It's crazy. Like for an American, it's like top notch. 10 out of 10 out of Tyler, 10 out of 10.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. When I'm reading it, I'm like scared I'm going to butcher it. You know what I mean?
No, actually, I was so surprised. That's why it's perfect. Yes.
So for anyone who doesn't know, if you've been living under a rock, Bernd is FTMO, the prop firm FTMO. He has been on their leaderboard over 120 times. Also funded in $2 million with A-book funding, at least $2 million I know from the one firm. I don't know if people have heard this story. No, I'm sure most people have, but I actually discovered you and your content through the whole Roy fake payout post, which kind of went a little bit viral in the trading world. So as frustrating as I'm sure that was for you, for somebody like me, I'm like, hey, I'm glad he did it because it led me to discovering you and us connecting. So
yeah, it somehow went viral, right? So the whole thing, and I didn't plan to go viral this way. I was just so angry, and that's why I had made these posts that I kind of exposed him, and these posts went viral. And this is how you discovered me, and a lot of other people discovered me in the social media world, right?
Yeah. And obviously we don't have to harp on that. I'm sure you've talked about that a bunch now.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, as I'm sure as angry as, like you said, it did make you, at least it was brought to light. And I think hopefully it has brought, got you more attention, more people to find your page and see your content, which is amazing. And, at the end of the day, it turned out to be a good thing.
Yes, there's always a good thing, right? You have to see the positive, and definitely that the positive side was that more people, recognized my accomplishments and not the fake accomplishments from other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And so obviously you have some amazing trading statistics, and we'll dive into trading. We'll get into that. But before we get into that, I've been calling you the German stallion. I believe I saw on an interview you said you were from Germany. Am I correct on that, or am I screwing that up?
Yeah, originally I'm from Germany. I live in Dubai since 13 years now, since 2009. So I actually call Dubai my home.
Okay.
But yeah, originally I'm from Germany. Obviously I'm not native. I'm not native English. So, but the word stallion, it's not in my vocabulary, so I had to check it what it means. So when I checked it, okay, then it was funny, obviously. Yeah. I didn't know the word. I didn't know the word, to be honest.
Yeah, that's funny. The little bit of the language communication barrier there, but yeah, that's kind of just like a slang word that Americans would use for just kind of like an all around. A beast, basically, so it's a horse, obviously, it's a horse, but
would see a beast. Yeah, but I got it, of course.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you looked it up and realized it was a compliment. But so before we get into the trading stuff, I wanted to ask you about your early life. What was it like? You said you were born in Germany. What was a young Bernd like? What was growing up life as a kid like for you? And let's start there. Just give me a little background.
Well, I try to keep it short. I mean, pretty traditional. So I'm not in that social media trading community. Well, I feel like I could be the dad of some people. I'm 40 years old, right? Nowadays, these traders, right? Some of them, at least, some are legit, but a lot of them are just like social media influencers. They're like 18, 19, 20, right? So that's why I'm saying like, I'm rather old for that social media game. So I'm 40 years old. Back in the days in Germany, really traditional. I grew up in a small village, really population of, I always make this analogy, this very small village, super traditional German household, family, middle class. In this village, we had more cows than people actually living. That's like super, super traditional. And I just very normal life, childhood. I went to school. I went to high school, like German way of high school, then to college. And then actually, I broke. And I think this was the tipping point and like a period that changed me a lot, where during my time at university, I studied business, but then we had the opportunity to also study abroad for a couple of terms. And then I actually moved to California. Actually, I studied at the UCSB, University of California, Santa Barbara. And this was, in that kind of time period, like from 0 to 25, the best time of my life, living the dream on the beach in California. And yeah, this changed my life basically. And like kind of from a narrow-minded childhood kind of opened up a little bit, or not a little bit, like a lot. And this is when I decided, hey, I have to live abroad at some point of time, and I cannot stay in Germany, and everything else is history. After my studies, I moved immediately to Dubai, and ever since I live in Dubai. And the last time I was in Germany was like 2019 for the wedding of my brother. That's it. As I just said, I consider Dubai my home now. But yeah, I grew up super traditionally, so had nothing to do with trading. I mean, really, it's a different life back there.
Yes. Okay. So you didn't discover trading through your family. Were you familiar with the markets and investing and trading while you were in college, or was that not something that you discovered until after?
Yeah, slowly the financial markets, but how to put this? Yes, I mean, also back then, I mean, the trading world was different. There was no real social media. There was no like YouTube and where people basically share their information, and also the financial market, right? It was completely different back then. It was like also like still like floor traders were existing back then, right? Now is everything is electronic, and the floor traders basically died out. And so yeah, I slowly got familiar with the financial markets, but I really, it was in 2012, 2013, where I really discovered that, hey, that you can actually learn this kind of stuff. You can learn this skill, that there are people out there that teach you how to make money in the financial market. And back then, back in the days, I was only familiar with the stock market. So I knew like stocks, right? Everybody knew about stocks. I didn't know about Forex. I didn't know about futures. I didn't even know what futures means. Like really like future, like the future. But I had no clue, right?
You've seen the movie, right? Back to the Future.
Yeah, back to the future. Like, what is that? It sounds so weird. So exactly, like really, literally, I was like a blank sheet, completely blank sheet. So I only knew about stocks, and I had a corporate job, by the way, just a normal corporate job. And I and when I started basically with my trading education, I didn't start with the intention to go, hey, will be at some point of time my full-time job, or I will do this full time. I'm going to quit my corporate job. No, actually, I only started because I I was so kind of fed up, a little bit fed up with my corporate job at this time already. Later on, I was really super fed up, and then I decided to quit. But in the very beginning, I was just like, okay, I make a decent amount of income with my salary, with my corporate job, but I'm constantly, running from paycheck to paycheck in terms of I felt like I'm not getting rewarded for what I'm actually doing, what I'm accomplishing, having these 12 hours, 14 hours shifts, basically. But I had a really good income, but it was like monthly, months over months, the same income, obviously. And then, when you, at the end of the year, when you expected a nice salary increase, and then your supervisor, your boss, they gave you 2% on top, and you feel like, and like, okay, like, I I was like, okay, now I have this decent saving. And I think like, I thought now I can invest maybe in stocks because I knew about stocks. But then I was also reluctant to just like put my money and do something that I have no freaking idea about, like literally no idea. So I thought, okay, since I have this university background, and I come from a classroom environment. My whole life I was sitting in a classroom basically to learn something. So I was like, hey, to learn trading, let me sit in a classroom as well, right? And this is basically that was my mindset. So I went to someone to learn basically that. Then I knew from the States that I got introduced, and this is how I learned from actually former floor trader at Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and one from Chicago, from New York Stock Exchange, and actually also from the biggest natural gas futures market maker back then in the day. So I had quite influential mentors back in the days, but as I started with stocks, only stocks. And then when I started with stocks, I quickly realized that there are more markets out there, more assets. And at some point of time in my educational journey, I was like, why the heck do I want to trade stocks? I mean, I can use my capital way more efficient. I can trade leverage markets, futures, and forex. And then immediately, I was like, fuck stocks. Let's go into futures, And this is how I actually and I only did this because I wanted to make make the money that I have as an income in my corporate world, just to make that money work for me and not me always running for the money. Just having like a passive income stream, right? I was like thinking already, hey, maybe for retirement later on, that's going to be cool, having this passive income stream. But then at some point of time, I learned how to trade stocks. I learned how to trade futures, and later on then only forex. But I was exposed to all these asset classes, and then I also a little bit of day trading here and there. And this was like so quickly became my passion, and I realized that I never knew what I want to do in my life. Like I literally never knew. Like I always envied people who are like, I know I want to become a doctor. I want to become a lawyer. I was always like, I have no idea what I'm passionate about. I don't know. I just would like to really enjoy what I'm doing. Right. So, but then trading was the first thing ever that I was so passionate about. And I spent like the whole day just studying and watching candles, up and down. Like even I went back in the days on 2-minute charts and, just studying candles up and down. Yeah. This was crazy, even on the weekends. And I became quite good, I would say, in a short period of time. And then I was able to basically substitute my corporate salary with my trading salary. I was still making more money, by the way, back then with my corporate salary than with my trading. But I was saying, hey, with trading, I have way more flexibility. I'm way more passionate about it. I sacrifice on a couple of dollars here and there versus, being a slave of my desk and hating what I'm doing and, moving around that rat race. And I was just, okay, let's quit that job and going into full-time trading, and everything else is history. So it was a little bit longer than expected, but yeah.
No, that's awesome. That story is super interesting. I love hearing, I can relate a lot to not knowing exactly what I wanted to do. My dad was an entrepreneur. My grandfather started a company, and my dad took it over. I worked there for 10 or 15 years probably. My brothers both still work there, and but I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do. I liked comedy. I tested my hand at comedy, and did that for a few years. Was doing open mic nights at these shitty bars, and going through that grind and stuff. And so I bounced around and tried a bunch of different things, but I never really had that like one thing, like I know this is what I want to do. And then when I discovered trading, it was sort of the same thing. It kind of lit that fire underneath me, and I became obsessed, and I knew like, this is it. This is what I want to do. So I can relate to that a lot. And I have some other questions I want to ask you, but you said you started with stocks and then you went to futures. You never got into options? You never blew an account on some 0 DTE, SPX options or anything like that?
No, actually, no. Yeah, no, people asked. Yeah, I've been asked this question quite some time. If I also trade options, but I never went into options. I never had the need to trade options because I traded, because then I was first trading stocks, right? Without leverage, you needed a lot of capital, or you need a lot of capital. Then I went into futures, and back in the days, it was also different. You trade futures, right?
Yeah, I primarily trade futures now. Yes.
So you can relate to this. So back in the days when I was trading futures, the margin requirement for the Nasdaq was only $4,000, and the day trading margin was like 50%, right? 50% of that fourth was $2,000. Now it's four times at least the margin for the Nasdaq, right? 16,000 or so. Nowadays you need a lot of capital to trade real futures. Yes, you have now the mini futures got from the CME got introduced, the mini futures, the micro futures. But back then you had only the E-mini, the normal futures, right? And the margin was like minimal compared to what it is now. So it was still like highly leveraged the market. And then I had stocks, I had futures, and then at some point I discovered CFDs, right?
Okay.
So and because in the Middle East, in Dubai, CFDs are allowed to trade versus the US. It's a little bit different, right? Regulations. but in Dubai or in the rest of the world, it's people are not so much aware of futures because they always trade the derivative. They trade the CFD on gold, on silver, on copper, on all these stocks nowadays as well, right? These CFD stocks. So then I went into at some point and trading CFD stocks. So I had it way more efficient for me because to trade Apple and Tesla in the real stock market versus CFD, I can use leverage. So way more efficient for me. And then I was like, okay, there's no point. I make such good amount of money with like all these trading vehicles, CFDs, future stocks, that I don't really see the need in options for me personally, because I was really consistent with all these trading vehicles.
Gotcha. Yeah, I actually started with options, and then I made the switch to futures just because dealing with the Greeks, the option Greeks, time decay, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? You'd be in a position that would chop around for a while after you entered it before it made a move, and next thing you know, it's working in your favor, but theta has already killed you, and you're not making what you should. So I found I liked futures where I didn't have to deal with the option Greeks. Plus, obviously, there's tons of liquidity. You can make a lot of money with futures. So I've enjoyed futures for sure.
That's the underlying asset. There's enough liquidity in all these markets. Even I like to trade the agricultural market. I always stress I like to trade the agricultural market as well, right? I used to trade orange juice and even live cattle and lean hogs. Like I used to trade all these markets. And there's liquidity everywhere. It's crazy, right? Versus the CFD. That's a problem in the CFD market, but that's a different topic. Yeah, no. Futures is great. Futures is.
And what you said about the margin with futures is, so I use like Thinkorswim for all my charting and trading options, and I still have an account there. But so even when I'm trading something else, I'm looking at my charts on Thinkorswim. And I know their margin requirements and most big brokers like theirs are a lot more now. But there are people out there, there's like a broker called Tradeovate that has like much lower margin requirements for futures. I think they do like, it's for every micro contract, you need to have at least $100 to day trade, something like that. But so there are some lower.
But these are micros.
Micros, yeah, correct, yeah. Yeah. I think they do $1,000 for every mini contract. Is what it is. Most brokers, you're right. They have that higher leverage now if you're gonna trade on futures. But I know Tradeovate's one of the few. There's a couple of smaller brokers like that I think offer some lower margin requirements. If anyone's interested in checking futures out, you don't necessarily need to have a $15,000 or $25,000 account.
No, not anymore. And this is what the exchanges at some point realized, that the margin requirement increased so much on the normal E-minis that they had to increase. Also, I think competition-wise, because these European and other brokers worldwide introduced the CFDs that they still can compete, where you have like the micro lots and the mini lots. So they introduced the mini contracts and the micro contracts. And I, by the way, use a company from Florida as my brokerage platform, TradeStation. You might have heard TradeStation. Yeah. So I use TradeStation my entire life. So even our indicators, our proprietary tools, they're developed on easy language. That's the coding language on TradeStation. So I use, for my analysis purpose, always TradeStation my entire life, and then I just place my trades on MT4, like MT5, wherever it's like required. But the analysis process is always TradeStation, and so futures it is.
Same thing, yeah. So you had mentioned at the beginning of your journey that you were able to find some success pretty early on, and you were able to be profitable early on. What was those early stages like for you? How quickly did it take you to become profitable? Did you ever go through those, blowing up accounts, that kind of thing? What was the early stages of your trading career like?
My very early stages. So I'm full-time now for 10 years and I'm trading since more than 12 years now. And my early stages, I quit my job a little bit after 1 year. It's really quick, really quick. I mean, and I don't want people to see me as a benchmark. I did this really quick. I dedicated every single day in my learning journey, like literally weekends. I sacrificed a lot. And my friends back then, and I still have a few friends from back then, they can confirm this. I was sacrificing, my social obligations, like going out during the weekends and doing stuff like that. I was only on the charts day and night. And even, because I was doing it in parallel, corporate life and studying trading, I was taking holiday actually, all my holidays that I had in my corporate job, I was sacrificing for actually taking classes, taking physical classes with my mentors. So everything, like my entire life, my entire energy went into trading. Was I already as good as I'm now? Of course not, right? It's like a process, right? You become better every year almost. But I because I learned really quickly that my family also depends on what I'm doing. I have a daughter as well. She is now 9. I have a wife. And, if I realized pretty quickly that this will only work if I really take this seriously, like a business, like a proper profession, like another job, but a job that I'm passionate about, a job that I really love, right? So I had always that motto that I say, I trade like my life depends on it. So I repeat, I trade like my life depends on it. And this really helped me and not doing like reckless stuff. Of course, we all went through the stage where, let's move that stop loss a little bit. Let's remove that stop loss because price will come back for sure. We like, right, guilty as judged. We all been there, right? But I never really did like a lot of dumb things in a row. And I really learned from my mistakes. And nowadays I know that people don't learn from their mistakes. I see that. But yes, so I never had like these really. We had all our we have all our roller coaster moments, right? We have all our roller coaster moments. But yeah, it was always quite okay, I would say. I was never discouraged. I was never really discouraged that I say, F this shit, I'll have to stop because it's not going to work for me. No, I never had this. I was always so proud that I'm doing what I'm doing. Also because I repeat myself when I say back in the days, but really back in the days, I felt like a lonely wolf. There was no commute. There was no real community. There was like, I felt like the only one. I literally felt like I was the only one who was doing that stuff. And that's why people also looked at me weird. What does it mean trading? Like, kind of like, back then it still had this gambling attitude. Like, what is he like? Is it poker player or what does it mean? You cannot make consistent money in a market. Yeah. But yeah, no, I just really from the beginning, it was kind of smooth, but we all had our roller coaster moments, but never really discouraging.
Yeah, I think what you said there is important. Like you treated it like a business. I don't think most people who come into trading do that. You know what I mean?
No, there's no way.
They're waking up in the morning, they're throwing on some trades, hoping to make some money. They're not reviewing. And when I got into trading, I wasn't necessarily the most disciplined person in my life outside of trading. And trading is what really motivated me to start improving my discipline, my health, all these things, because I wanted to be successful in trading so bad that I was willing to be like, okay, listen, I got to clean up these outside things in my life, and it it makes a huge difference. It really does.
And do you agree with me when I would say if these outside things, right, are not stable, your trading is also not stable.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's why, you know, your shorts and your reels, they always put a smile on my face. I told you that before the recording started, but and you're making fun, that I'm doing all these, sports, Muay Thai, and I feel like this really, I'm doing sports my whole life as well. I'm doing sports my whole life, and I really believe and I think that my activity doing sports every single day, even during my corporate career when I was like 14 hour shifts, 16-hour shifts, that I got up in the morning at literally at 5 a.m. in the morning to just go into the gym, had a pre-workout, and then 5:30 I hit the gym for like 1 hour or 45 minutes. And then I jumped into the shower and then straight to work and worked until 8, 9, 10 p.m. And then the next day just to catch a little bit of sleep. So I had this consistency, this kind of discipline, like already my whole life doing like sports, gym, exercises, football, whatever it was. But I think this really made me what I am today. And it's really for me, this whole health aspect of having, uh, exercise, proper diet, proper nutrition, all these health hacks, life hacks, good sleep, biohacking. I'm doing a lot of this stuff because I'm really interested in that. But it really helps me to perform like on my highest level. And I think this made me what I am today as well.
Yeah, I agree. I've played sports. I was a hockey player growing up my whole life, and I've also always loved skateboarding. And in any sport, in order to get better at that sport, right? First, you have to lose to people who are better than you and kind of learn from those losses and keep working and keep training, getting better. And then you beat that person who's better than you. And then you go play the person that's even better than them. And like, that's sort of, I think that helps prepare someone who's getting into trading. If you can take that loss and realize like, hey, this is a learning experience. I just got to keep working. And so I think anyone with like a sports competition background who has that it's a big benefit. But the Muay Thai, I did want to ask you about the Muay Thai. Obviously, I've made some jokes on there. You look fantastic, by the way. I got to start doing Muay Thai. I don't even know. But how long have you been doing that? Is that just like a workout type of thing for you? Have you ever competed in fights or what's?
No. I'm not a fighter. I'm not a fighter. For me, it's really, how to explain this the best way. I actually started a year ago because I went on holiday for a long holiday, 2 months to like Koh Samui. Like it's a small private island next to Thailand. It belongs to Thailand. And their kind of traditional sports is Muay Thai, right? So this is when I started actually Muay Thai a year ago, and I had like personal Muay Thai training every day back 1 year ago for like almost 2 months.
Okay.
And this is where I really fell in love with the sports. And for me, it's really the best way to explain it. I'm the whole day, 24 hours, I'm exposed to trading, right? My mind is completely exposed, even during the night when for sure you can relate to this. We wake up in the middle of the night. The first thing we do, we check our mobile. Where's the market? Like stuff like crazy stuff like this.
Yeah, it's a holiday today, and it was like harder for me to get out of bed because I'm like, the market's not open. It's like, let me hit the snooze.
The amount of times today I checked like Trading View, and I was like, it's just like automatically I'm just click on the app and like, where's price? Yeah, of course it's not moving because it's holiday. Like did it at least 4 or 5 times. So my entire day is basically circles around trading, and can never switch off. The only time when I can really switch off and be myself and clear my mind and be completely quote unquote free is during that 1.5, 2 hour workout session, right? And I think this, is kind of addictive as well, where you can really switch off and only focus on this kind of sports, because if you don't focus, you will get a slap. Yeah, you will get a kick in your face, or like, it's still, even if I do this only for like training purpose, it's still like a contact sport. And if you're not focused, or if you don't have your hands up, right, then you get like, something in your face.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why you have to focus completely and be in the moment. And sometimes I realize that I'm getting distracted and I'm thinking about my charts or my trading or like anything trading related with our academy. And then I feel like that, now I'm like against my coach, against my opponent, however you want to call it, then I'm getting a kick in my face or like on my body and stuff. So so that's what I'm so like about that sport, that I can really switch off for 2 hours and really, yeah, be myself. And then again, I can go on to, like, my mind can go to the charts, but then I'm kind of really relaxed, and whatever happens throughout the day, I'm completely stress free. I'm completely relaxed because I did my thing in the gym. So yeah, I fell in love with the sport somehow.
That's awesome. I think it's important for traders to have that outlet, because I'm the same way. Like my mind nonstop is on those charts. Yep. And if you don't have that outlet to, like, and that's I still, like I mentioned before, I still skateboard. I'm 33. I'm getting up there with you, Bernd. But still, skateboarding is the same thing. Like, if you're not fully focused in the moment, like, you're gonna eat shit. You know what I mean? You're gonna get.
I can imagine.
It's gonna remind you really, really quickly. But I do think it's great and important to have that outlet away from trading where you can kind of turn your brain off from it.
Yes, you need to switch off that brain. Otherwise, it's gonna drive you crazy. That's why I think that's why, I mean, the transition to, that's why day trading, right? And even going further, scalping is so difficult because it's like that constant exposure, right? It's great. Doing this like day in and day out for like for years. That's why it's like I say.
Yeah, it is. I think I get these grays in my beard coming in. I swear they started when I started trading. But before we'll dive into your trading, I want to ask you about your strategy a little bit here. But you had mentioned Thailand, and I think I saw you post on your stories one day that you were building a home in Thailand. Did I see that correctly?
That's correct. Yes, we're building a home on the beach. So that was always my dream, to have like a beach house basically. And now it was awesome. And somewhere like where I'm not surrounded by people. I personally like, yes, when it comes to now social media, and so I'm always exposed to people online, but also physically with my academy. But in general, I'm more like an introvert person, and I don't mind being for myself. I really don't mind. Actually, I enjoy my own company. Like I'm that kind of person. I'm not getting bored with myself, to put it that way. So that's why having this was always my dream, having a beach house that is like really, there's nothing than just, wild forest and palm trees and literally self-sustained. We have our own groundwater. We will have our own solar. So it's just like, this was always a dream, and I accomplished that now. It's like we're building that, and so yeah.
So are you gonna stay in Dubai as your home, and the Thailand will be your vacation house, basically?
Kind of, yes, because we are super flexible. Only my daughter goes to school, and Dubai has just a great system, and it's just like perfect also for kids to grow up because it's so safe. So of course we're gonna stay most of the time in Dubai because my daughter has to go to school. But during holiday season, whenever we can, or even me, like with a bunch of traders or so, just go there for like 1-2 weeks and just enjoy, and that's the plan.
That's awesome, man. Well, good for you. Congratulations on that. That's got to be exciting. That's got to be exciting. So before I dive into your strategy, one last question about kind of the beginning, early stages. You had mentioned that you had like three guys who had full-time trading experience from trading floors and trading as market makers and that kind of thing that you got to know personally. What resources would you suggest for new traders who are just getting into it? Where should they start? Are there any books that you suggest for them to read? Is there any, obviously you have your YouTube is full of stuff. Is there anywhere you suggest, or any resources that you would suggest for new or beginner traders?
It's so funny, Tyler. I always get this question, right? And nowadays it's so difficult. I don't have that, solution that I can say, do this and you're gonna be successful. For me personally, I don't believe in trading books. I never read a trading book in my entire life. I never, full disclosure, I never touched a trading book, because also I thought, hey, like, okay, you want to become a lawyer or you want to become a pilot, they don't read books to become that kind of profession. So I don't read books. I don't believe in books. I listen to podcasts and audio, but I just, for me, it's just, there's no benefit anyway. It's just a personal preference. But when it comes to trading, I've never touched a trading book, for instance. So I cannot recommend any books, right? And I don't believe in trading books. And so, and then on YouTube itself, it's hot.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I've had two friends recently ask me and say like, hey, I want to get into trading. Like, where should I start? What's the good place? I'm just kind of like, there's like, everybody's personality is different. And you know, I was lucky to trade. My mentor, Rick Trades, you know, I think he's a great person to learn from, but you know, everybody's gonna be different, and a lot of these people you don't know who to trust, and there's just a lot of different ways to trade, a lot of different people telling you different things, and it's hard to know what's good and what's bad and what works for you. And
so much noise. It's just, I call it, it's just all noise, right? The market nowadays, like the education market, the trading space, trading educational space. This is 99%. I don't know. 90%, 95%. It's just noise, right?
Yeah. So experience is the best teacher.
Experience, I mean, yes, in a certain way. I mean, what people really have to understand, like, when they start, they first have to understand what do they want to do, right? Like, what makes sense to them. Like, let me give you an example. Like, when people come to me, what kind of people come to me? Business owners, executive level, team leaders, people in a high corporate position. So these people come to me, like corporate people who wants to learn how to trade most of the time, right? So they work, you know, they have 10 hours, 12 hours work shifts. They have families, they have social obligations. For them, you know, they don't want to scalp. They don't want to sit. They don't want to scalp. They don't want to sit on a daily basis. They don't have enough time for that. They don't want to follow 1 minute candles. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So bottom line is, the people have to understand what fits to their not only personality but also to their schedule. If you're like, I don't know, a college kid, and you have like all the time in the world and you're bored the whole day, yes, get into lower time frames first, because this is where you get response. This is where you get immediate practice, right? But it really has not only fit to your personality, it has to fit to your lifestyle. And so this is what the first thing you have to figure out. How does your lifestyle look like, and how can you fit your trading into your lifestyle? And then you go from there. And then you find people, hey, I want to find a scalper, I want to find a swing trader, I want to find this or that. And then you kind of explore this person or this company for a while, look it up, follow it. And then at some point of time, you make a decision. Yes, this makes sense for me. I'll go with them. And this is how I would approach the topic.
I think that's some great advice. I think that's huge. So now diving into your specific trading strategy a little bit. Obviously, you use prop firms. As we said earlier in the show, FTMO, been on their leading board 120 times, $2 million in A-book funding. I know I've looked at some of your stuff. I have a good idea, I think, of what your trading kind of strategy is. But for anybody who hasn't watched that, who's watching this, I know you're a higher time frame trader, a swing trader. But tell us about your strategy. What do you consider your trading strategy to be? How do you find trades that you take? What do you like to trade? The indexes? Do you like to trade Forex pairs? Do you like to trade futures? What exactly is your bread and butter?
All right. Okay. Let's start with the foundation. So I never classified myself. I always say it, I never classified myself as a trader. I considered myself a trader by trade, because I find it interesting. I mean, I'm not sure if you, Tyler, if you realize that if you look now, like in all these Instagram bios or YouTube, people would never call themselves their swing trader. They only call themselves day trader or scalpers. Why? I'm really like, curious. Why is that? Is that something like, is it cooler to call yourself day trader rather than a trader? You know, like really, like people call themselves on purpose day trader. They call themselves on purpose scalper. They associate something with that. 100%.
Yeah, I think it's just the the lower time frames you go. It's like, I don't know, maybe it probably feels more like gambling, honestly, but like it's more higher paced. Quick money. Yeah, quick money. Yes, quick money. Yeah.
Make money in a minute. Like I can make the same amount of money in a minute that you make in a month.
You always see the social media posts. It's like, how I made $30,000 in 2 minutes today.
Yeah. So why I'm saying that, because I never classified myself. I had to classify myself now when I went on social media. So I'm like kind of right? To social media. To real social media, YouTube. My channel only exists since like 1 year now. End of February last year.
Your YouTube's great. Obviously, I can tell you put a lot of time and effort into it. So it's great.
I'm also YouTube competitive. I put a lot of effort into this. I want to make this work. When I start something, I want to make it work. I'm like dedicated 100%. That's my personality. So I'm now also 100% dedicated to make this work. Anyway, so now since I have to classify myself, as a swing trader. So because my execution time frame is something between a combination between daily time frame and so daily charts and weekly charts. All right. So that's my execution time frame. And my analysis is something between like multi-time frame analysis. I look at monthly charts, weekly charts, and daily charts. I never go lower than daily chart. All right. So that's why I guess I have to classify myself as a swing trader. So what do I trade? I trade everything. And I think this is really important for new traders to also understand. I don't believe in trading one market. I don't believe in trading one market, one time frame. I believe in getting exposure because you have something called multi-asset correlation, cross-asset correlations, right? You have to understand how the treasury, if you trade the stock market, you cannot only trade stocks. You have to understand how the treasury market works, or even the influence with like how the impact with gold, and then impact with crude oil, and so on and so forth. So kind of these markets, they have all like cross-asset correlations in some way, in one form or the other. So I believe, so that's why I think futures was so great for me to start learning futures, because this is where you get exposed to the underlying asset and to all markets that exist in the world, right? So I trade equity indices, I trade treasuries, I trade precious metals, I trade energy. So precious metals, right? Just if you look at precious metals, I trade gold, silver, copper, platinum, palladium, energies, right? Natural gas, crude oil. I trade also currency futures, right? So I trade major pairs basically in this case, and I trade agricultural markets. I trade soybeans. Now I'm in a soybean trade. I trade corn. I trade wheat, orange juice, cocoa, orange juice.
Orange juice. That one makes me laugh every time.
Everything, right? So I trade literally everything that is available, and these markets are, people might, it's quite interesting. If you look at soybeans, it has more liquidity on a daily base than gold, and it has 4 times the liquidity of silver. So these are big markets, right? These are big markets.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, so these are super big markets. So I like to trade all of them. So I trade everything. The only thing that I'm not trading is forex cross pairs, like British pound, Aussie dollar, euro, CAD, and all this nonsense. For me, this is nonsense. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody. For me personally, it's nonsense. People sometimes feel offended when you say like this or that. I don't like this and that, and they're like,
that's why I like to trade.
It's like, sorry, but it's just not my thing. All right. So so swing trader, daily execution time frame. I trade everything that exists in the global financial market. And now when it comes to my analysis, I mean, you might know it. So I have my own tools. I've developed my own proprietary tools. These are derived from fundamentals. So to keep this brief, I have a 2-step mechanical process. So I basically use the best of both worlds. So I use fundamentals that, for me personally, fundamentals drive price, right? But with fundamentals, I cannot time the market. So I get biased in the market with my fundamentals, bullish, bearish, neutral. If I'm neutral, I'm staying away from that market. If I'm bullish or bearish, I'm going to step 2, which is market timing. And for market timing, I use supply and demand, and I sprinkle in some price action once in a while. But this is basically, fundamentals to get my bias, my market bias. If I'm biased in a market and I have the probability for a market turn, for a big move in one direction, either up or down, then I'm timing the market with technical supply and demand, where I place my set entry stop loss target, if this makes sense. So what are you using for your I've never seen, I've only seen your funny posts. I've only seen your funny posts, but I've never seen you actually trading. So I just curious.
Yeah. So I'm a smaller time frame trader. I will do kind of like a top-down analysis where I'll start, I'll look at the weekly chart, the daily chart, and then I really like the hourly chart. I use the hourly chart to find my price levels. I have like a specific way of doing that. And then I'll take my entries typically off of the 5-minute chart.
Wow.
Yeah, so I am I'm a smaller time frame trader, and
what's the strategy?
So I like to trade with trend. So I use trend analysis, then just price action and my levels. So essentially, I'm looking. Okay, are we in a daily trend, weekly trend? Is the
Okay.
I get my bias based off of the larger time frames, and then within a smaller time frame, I will basically look for pullbacks in that trend around price levels that I think will get a reaction to. And I've only been trading for about 2 years.
Okay.
So I'm still relatively new to it. I would say definitely my most successful trading is I had a really good November of last year. So from November to now, I've kind of started to find a groove. I do well trading in trends because I'm good at holding for larger moves. I'm definitely not looking to scalp. Like my average hold time is like a little bit over an hour and a half.
Okay, yeah, that's not scalping. That's definitely not scalping.
Yeah. So I'm looking. These levels. I'm looking for the market to make a level to level move, basically. So if I can, if I think the market is in an uptrend, if we can get a pullback to that level, I will start to put like a small. I'll add into my positions. So like if the market is giving us higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, my favorite entry is actually then if we get like a nice spike that takes out all of those higher lows, basically, in theory, running everybody's stops and collecting that liquidity to then towards that price level to then continue higher. But yeah, so I'm looking for pullbacks within a trend using my levels, which are really accurate. But I am very interested in moving to more higher time frame, higher hold times, because when in November is when the market like really started pumping. The futures market, we've been in this really strong uptrend ever since. And I was in longs in the NQ every day, basically in November. And so like I look back at it and I'm like, man, I could have taken my initial entry on NQ and really I could have held that for a couple weeks and it would have been an insane move. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely interested in learning more about your process and becoming more of a longer time frame trader. But yeah, I mean, I've started to find some decent success with what I'm doing right now. And yeah, so it's been good. But I only, like I said, I'll only focus pretty much. I watch the four indexes on futures. Like I watch during the day. I'm watching NQ, I'm watching ES, I'm watching YM, and I'm watching RTY. And so I'm keeping an eye on all four of the indices. And, because sometimes they can affect each other, obviously, one way or another. But I primarily will take my trades on NQ.
You might be interested about, and this is, 60-minute time frame, going back to 5-minute time frame. I'll recommend you a YouTube video that I did because I was trading this back in the days as well. I call it Globex traps on the I don't know, most probably you have not seen it, but it's called Globex traps. And you trade this only on equity indices and around that time frame. This is, I think, super cool for you as well. I recorded that video. I made it public. and I'll share it with you. That's really cool. You will like it. You will like that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to check it out. That's awesome. And then from a mindset perspective, my favorite, I just listened to an audiobook. I haven't actually read it. I just listened to the audiobook. But it's called Best Loser Wins from Tom Hugard. And it's just a psychology book. He basically doesn't talk about technicals at all. Essentially, the only thing he really talks about in technicals is he talks about how he adds to his winning positions. He likes to press his winners and that kind of thing. So I've taken a lot from that book, and it's helped me. So I trade very well in trading markets. Sometimes I need to know when to step back when the market's not trending. But I'm still learning, I'm still growing. But yeah, so that's kind of my process. So I know you said you use fundamentals. You said you created some like indicators that will calculate fundamentals for you.
They look like, you would call them indicators. I don't like the word indicators because indicators are usually derived from price. Price is lagging, so you're always late to the party. That's always my analogy. But they look like indicators, but they're more like forecasting tool. They give you a glimpse into the future, and that's why I'm like can spot these market turns and can sometimes make these bold predictions when I predict. I'm not sure if you see. So the first time I went more viral, so to say, was like when Abdallah Rashid. Do you know him? Like he's a prop trader on YouTube as well. Abdallah Rashid.
I don't know if I do know him.
He actually did the first podcast with me, basically. I don't know if this is when, and that podcast got like 200, now it's at 250,000.
I think I would recognize him. Since I started this page, right, I've started following so many different people in the industry that it's hard for me to keep track of everybody. You know what I mean? But I'm sure I've seen him.
And yes, this was based, and for sure you have like seen that podcast, at least like a little bit of it, or at least the thumbnail or so. And this is when I made, like, this was in October, and in his podcast I said like, hey, today is the 25th of October. In like 1 or 2 weeks, the market is going to bottom. And, when the audience will watch the podcast, I will be already long the Dow Jones because we see a nice end of the year rally, right? And this is basically when I call it all stars align, when all these fundamental tools are lining up and giving me the same quote unquote signal. And then this is when I can make these bold predictions to say, now it's the time we have to go long, ladies and gentlemen, or now it's the time we have to go short, because these are the big market turns through these fundamentals that I can anticipate, I can predict, and then I can time the market, right? But I can only do that because I have these fundamental tools.
So that makes a whole lot of sense. Now, for your specific entry, so you see that you have that in your bias, your forecast, that the market's going to start going up. Dialing it in a little bit more specifically into your entries, I know you mentioned that you enter a trade via stop orders. So you'll have that order placed at a certain price just because
limit orders.
Yeah, you do limit orders, or okay. So you're not doing like so you're not on the daily chart like, okay, if this daily candle breaks above this candle, I'm gonna have a buy stop to enter.
So it might happen now. For instance, today, what is today? Today is the 19th
February.
19th. So in a few days already, or we're going to see the market. So the US stock market, the equity indices will top now, right? I'll make another bold prediction.
I saw you say that. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. Okay. So have you watched my my US 30, my Dow Jones yearly market outlook?
Yeah, I think I watched a decent bit of it. Yes.
Yeah. So and so they throughout the years, I tell the people basically in this yearly roadmap for the US stock market, for the equity indices specifically. I mean, there is all correlated, right? If the Dow crashes, then the entire market crashes. If the Dow rallies, then the entire market rallies, and so goes with the other indices. So it doesn't matter which one is leading. It's always another index leading, right? But so now we are basically in election year, right? We are in election year, right? So it's very important to understand in election year, we usually see a small drop from now, like there's always like 1 or few days off, Another sweet spot is, by the way, first week of March. So if we are not dropping now, then first week of March is the week where we have to all to go short, because then the market is going to drop into mid to end of March. And now listen carefully. So when there is a sitting president running for re-election, and this might be the case, right? Biden might run for re-election. We don't know yet. Might happen.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, we'll see.
But if there's a sitting president running for re-election, and that could be the case this year, so let's consider it's the case, so sitting president running for re-election, that drop, that end of February drop into end of March is going to be big, all right? Statistically, this is proven. So I'm looking at all these kind of statistics, and my fundamental value forecasting tools, they're completely lining up with that prediction. So from now to basically, we're not going to see now, we might see like a new all-time high, yes, but they will be taken out quickly, so we will not see another crazy rally. So my point is, from now, another sweet spot is like first week of March, and then we see like a really, really, really big drop into almost end of March. And then end of March, it's going to be again the low of the low, and then we're going to see a crazy rally into summer. So that's my bold prediction, and that's what we're going to trade. So and I can all tell this because of these fundamental tools that I'm looking at. So yeah, so now I made my bold prediction, and let's see.
Yeah, I like it. I lean to agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised if we went like a little bit higher if we didn't start dumping like immediately. But I do think that a big pullback is incoming. There's a couple of things that I saw that they're more, I guess, speculation than anything. But when the big news media outlets start using the phrase "soft landing" for the economy, the more that gets used, that's an indicator that a big pullback or a recession is coming. And the use of soft landing in the economy is like spiking way up right now, which is just a funny indicator that I saw.
This stuff works somehow. Yeah, you're right.
And then also like Bezos is unloading a bunch of stocks, and Zuckerberg's unloading a bunch of stocks. I know some politicians are doing so as well, which I mean makes sense. We've been pumping, but I could see a big pullback incoming here soon as well. Yes. So are you in any shorts yet?
No. I always do for my community. I do like I call it Funded Trader weekly outlooks, where I basically do these. I go through all these markets that I just stated basically 5 minutes ago, and I gave them my point of view. And also, if I'm in the trade, I tell them, okay, you guys can enter here. You can put your like almost like signals. I hate the word signals. It's so misused, in the community, because signals without context is the dumbest thing on this planet. It just doesn't work. But I do like the whole trade analysis for each and every market for my community. So yes, so no, the only trade that I am now is soybeans, but and I specifically said because I also, what you said makes a lot of sense. I think the market can go a little bit higher because the stocks that drive the equity indices, especially Apple and Microsoft, that is like, right, an index is just a collection of a lot of stocks that have different weight, and the highest weight in these indices is Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia, and the Fangman stocks. Anyway, but so these stocks are, based on my tools, still tend to be undervalued. When the stocks are undervalued, they tend to rally until they're overvalued. So what I want to see is the stocks to be overvalued, these major stocks that drive the market to be overvalued, at least one or two of them, and then, because the equity indices are already overvalued based on my tools. But if the stocks are not overvalued yet, that's a contradicting information for me. So I cannot go short yet. So I want to wait one more week or so. Again, I said that there's another, even if we drop now, the market in general is way too strong. It's not just starting tomorrow to drop and then it drops like, it's not like another, I don't want to say the word, but it's not like another crash where it's like red candle after red candle after red candle after red candle. No, the market starts to consolidate first, base a little bit, might drop, and then they might go up again, and then it might eventually drop. And so we first see a little bit of consolidation first, of course, and then eventually we're going to drop. So my point is another sweet spot to short, which is like first week of March, I think 3rd or 4th. So between 3rd and 5th of March, it's another sweet spot. So this is then eventually where, when the stocks are also overvalued, I'm like pulling the trigger and I'm going short, if not earlier. But yeah, I have to wait for the stocks to go overvalued based on my tools.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I'll be watching it. I'll be watching it with you. We'll see what happens. So moving to your trade management a little bit. When you're trading, are you obviously you said you look at a wide range of markets? Will you put multiple trades on in different markets at the same time? Do you use like a risk percentage for every trade? Do you think some trades are more high probability than others, so you risk a little bit more? How do you kind of manage those trades from that standpoint?
Oh, good question. So also let me try to keep this short. So I use I take whatever the market gives me, right? So I have a really strict rules. So it's kind of quote unquote hard to find like high quality trades, high probability, what I call high probability trades with my rules, because all my fundamental values have to be aligned to get into a trade, right? So they have to, if one is contradicting, I'm not allowed to get into a trade. So it's like
requires some serious patience and discipline, I would imagine.
Patience and discipline, something you learn as well, right? You have to learn as a trader. You have to learn. It's just like one of the most important traits as a trader. Discipline and especially patience. It's all about patience. Market. You know, it's hard. I felt it I feel it. It's for a lot of people, even for me sometimes. It's hard. It's more difficult to be not in a trade if you can relate to this. It's very difficult to not, because you feel like now you spend so much time analyzing and sitting in front of the screen, like you wasted your time somehow. But that's not true, right? It's like still you spent your time analyzing, but if you don't get a result, like by meaning you're getting into a trade, it's kind of, you feel like, I don't know, it feels weird, right?
That's a weird thing with trading that you don't deal with in other jobs. You know what I mean? Because then you're seeing the market move without you, and you're just makes you want to get in, and it's tricky. It requires some serious patience and experience.
So the bottom line, I take whatever the market gives me, but it has to meet all my rules. I call it all stars aligned. And then it might happen that I'm like in 2-3 trades at the same time. It might be rather unlikely, but it might happen that I'm in 3 trades at the same time max. I'm never in, I think I can't remember the last time I was in 4 trades at the same time. So let's say between 1 and 3 trades at the same time between 2 and 3 trades might happen. Now, I don't use percentage risk, and what I use is, I believe in a fixed dollar risk. I use the fixed dollar risk method. So I define a dollar value for me that kind of fits my risk profile. So for every million that I manage, so I manage, as you said, 2 million A book and 2 million B book. So in total, 4 million. So for every million that I manage, I risk $10,000, which happens to be 1%. But yeah, it's just the $10,000 like makes sense for me for like the per $1 million. But I do this not because it's 1%. I do it because of that value, $10,000.
It's a dollar amount.
It's a dollar amount. So I risk that for every trade. Because you said, are you risking more sometimes because it's more probability? Based on your rules, it's more probability. No, it's like when I get into a trade, it's always high probability. Otherwise, I would not take the trade. So that's why I use always the same dollar amount. Otherwise, it would be also difficult. What I believe is calculating risk to reward properly, right? If I one trade, I take $10,000, the other trade, I take $5,000, then your entire KPIs are kind of messed up, because these KPIs for me only work if you have like that kind of fixed dollar risk approach, right? So now, yes, I take $10,000 per million that I manage, and then I basically usually have my limit, I call it set and forget and get a live order, my limit order, my stop loss. Targets I don't personally use. Every beginner I would recommend to use targets. I get out manually based on my tools then, but this is kind of my experience, my very experienced approach, because I also like to see the market run, because I only get really into trades where I see like these potential big turns, right? So I have my limit order set and wait to get filled, and that's basically it. So fixed dollar risk, limit order. What else is there that you ask?
Well, so it's good. I think you answered my question, but so you do a fixed $10,000, right? Now, how are you choosing your stop loss? Are you choosing your stop loss based off of a chart reason? Or like, so for example, if you're like, okay, my stop loss is under this low on the daily chart. So in order to risk $10,000 on this trade, I need to use 10 lots, or maybe it's a bigger stop loss. So you have to use 8 lots. Like, does your sizing change based off of where you put your stop loss?
Yes, look, so that's also like a very frequent question. I don't care about the sizing. I don't care about position sizing. I don't even know my position sizing, because I have my, if I trade long, I define based on the chart, I trade in a demand zone, right? Because I time the market based on supply and demand. So I use that demand zone that I defined, my entry and my stop loss. And well, this is my zone, regardless of that size of that zone. But because my stop loss has to be below that demand zone, there's no way. And if there's even a pivot below, then I put it even below that pivot, because that's always like be more protective, right? I rather
just use smaller size,
yeah. And then just by default, right? The bigger the zone becomes, like then you have the size, the $10,000 stays always the same, but the position size is lower, right? So
okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So then sticking with the trade management, if the trade then starts to work in your favor, at any point in time, do you move your stop loss to break even? I know you said you exit the position based off of experience in your tools, but like, do you scale out? Like, will you exit a partial of the position, or do you exit full, or how do you manage that specifically?
Yeah, it's actually only for me. It's only hit or miss. So let me explain this hit and miss kind of a little bit. So, of course, I manage. I'm a at the end of the day, we are all risk managers. We have to be as a trader. You have to be a good risk manager. So important, the managing part, not the risk taker, managing part. So how do we manage risk? So we have to preserve capital first. So of course, if price goes into my direction, let's say 1-to-1. If I have a target, let's see if I have a target at 1-to-2 or 1-to-3 or even 1-to-4, something between those lines, I'll move my stop loss to break even. Like mechanically, if I see, okay, price is at 1-to-1, I move my stop loss to break even so I cannot lose anymore. Then I let my profits run. And then, if I have my targets at 1-to-3, of course, I don't let price go back all the way to break even and like miss out on 3 Rs. It would be also bad risk method.
Yeah, so you'll move your stop into profits at that point.
Yeah, then based on, most of the time based on technicals. This is then how I trail. It could also based on fundamentals that, if for instance, if we short the stock market, right? If we short the equity indices, we are overvalued. But at some point of times, we are getting undervalued. This is when I would expect then the retracement back up. This is when then I would get out of the trade regardless. So I could look at both my fundamental tools or at technicals as well, so to get out of the trade.
Gotcha. That's that makes a whole lot of sense. I think that's a good way. I think a good way to do it. So the funding, you said 4 million in funding, 2 million in A book, 2 million in A book. Is that all from FTMO?
No. This is from the A book one, the 2 million in A book is from a private prop firm that is basically only right now invite only, and you have to have a lot of requirements to get into that prop firm, and you have to pass a lot of tests and challenges to get like to that like 1 million in funding. No, FTMO and all these prop firms, right? They're B books. So this is basically where I have like Search Trader, I have Funded Next, and I hope True Forex Funds comes back now this week. They made an announcement. I have capital with them, and I have capital with FTMO, and all these together, I have 2 million in B-book basically. Yeah.
So yeah,
do you trade prop?
Yeah. So my first year in trading, when I got into it, I had basically lost all of my personal capital that I was willing to lose in trading. So from then, I had switched to the prop firm or the funding game. The first company I ever used was TopStep. Because I did the futures funding. So if you've ever heard, there's the two biggest, most popular futures funding companies are TopStep, TopStep Trader, and then Apex Trader Funding. So they are both futures funding companies, and they are both companies that like openly will advertise that like, yeah, once you get funded, you're B booked, but if you show enough consistency on your B book, they will convert you over to an A book, which I've gotten funded on both of them. I've used Apex the most. Apex does offer some really inexpensive challenge accounts. But then once you pass, unlike a lot of the Forex prop firms, you take your challenge, you pass, they'll give you a refund. But Apex is like, you can get a $50,000 eval account for $30, but if you pass it, you then pay like a $150 activation fee as opposed to getting a refund. So they're set up a little bit differently, but I have used them for a while, but I recently started doing some content for Prop Firm Journal, who they kind of track the data and have the database for all the different prop firms. And through them, I discovered there's a prop firm called Funder Pro, and I believe they're a little bit newer. I met a couple people from the company there, but they advertise that they put traders on real funds once they get funded, and they also offer daily payouts. So I started trading with them. I passed a challenge with them recently. I passed a $25,000 account challenge with them, and it was cool because I traded for 2 days, requested a withdrawal, had it in a matter of transferred over, processed in a matter of minutes. Traded another 2 days, traded well, requested another withdrawal, and they processed it, and it went through. And so to me, that's Apex, for instance, to compare them is you can't request a payout till you've traded for at least 10 trading days. And then with that, it has to be within their payout window. So it has to be from the 5th to the 8th or the 15th to the 18th. And I've had stints where with Apex, I've made a good bit of money, but then I got a little overconfident before I could ever make a withdrawal. I took a big loss when so that had happened to me a few times, and I've always been taught. My mentor taught me this, and I agree. I'm anti-account flipping. I don't think you should just try to grow your account as big as you can and make all this money and have this big account, because like, what's the point if you're not paying yourself? So I'm big on withdrawals. It makes it real. That money comes into your bank account. All of a sudden, trading field. Oh, okay, I can make an income from this. I have a good trading day. I get paid. And so I've been trading with Funder Pro and the daily withdrawals. And so to me, that's been a little bit of a game changer. It's been helpful being able to request those withdrawals. And so hopefully I can stick with them for a while, and we'll see how it goes.
If I may ask, because futures prop firms is a relatively new term, right? I mean, it's rather new. It's not like established as Forex prop firms. And I think, because for me, this would be at some point of time definitely also interesting. But I think, as you just mentioned, there are a lot of limitations still, right? I mean, for me personally, as a swing trader, you cannot hold over the weekend, right? The product portfolio that you can trade is limited. You have these daily payouts I don't care about. For instance, I like FTMO because I can select the payout whenever I want to have it. And if I want to have the payout only in 2 months because I'm in a trade for my average holding period in the past 6 months was 22 days, right? So it's not
I meant to ask you what your average hold time was. That's what it is, 22 days?
22 days in the past 6 months. Yes. Okay. So look, so that's why these prop firms, for me right now, how they are structured would not work, right? Correct? Or if I'm wrong?
Well, so I'd have to double check on the futures firms. TopStep used to offer you're right on majority of the accounts that they offer. They're just day trading accounts essentially, right? But TopStep, I know, did offer a swing trading account at one point. I probably haven't used them in over a year though, so I'm not 100% sure if they still offer a swing trading account or not. Funder Pro, the one I'm using now, they do offer a swing trade and a day trade account. So I know they, you know, unfortunately it's not all wrapped up in one. You know what I mean? The fact that they change them is a little frustrating. But I'm assuming they probably charge slightly more for the swing trade account would be my guess. I don't know 100% for sure. But I know on their swing trade account, you can hold over weekends, you can hold overnight, that kind of thing.
Okay. And you have
on the
all
futures, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so Funder Pro is Forex. It is Forex.
It's Forex. Okay.
It is, but I trade them. I trade it basically like I'm trading the futures market. So like I have my Funder Pro, you know, accounts up on my screen. I'm looking at my Thinkorswim charts where I'm looking at the futures indexes. That's where all my levels are marked. And then I'm making my trade decisions on the Forex account based off of what the futures are doing. And I do the same thing. I basically put in a dollar amount that I want to risk on that trade. For example, say it's $100, and then it just auto and put my stop, you know, put where my stop loss, and it auto makes my lot size what it should be. And I trade
that's exactly exactly the same way. I do the same way, just on a higher time frame. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I've been in the prop or funding space for probably a year to a year and 2 or 3 months now, probably.
Yeah, me also, like only since August 2022, right? So it's also to the prop space, I'm relatively new.
Yeah. So the prop space is interesting, right? Because there's obviously a lot of weird things going on right now, and I can imagine it would be so frustrating. Yeah, it's just if you had a payout that was to be expected, and then all of a sudden that prop firm is just like, oh, sorry, we don't have access, or we're moving, we don't take U.S. customers, or this. That is a little bit scary, I can imagine. But it's also some of them, the ones that are reliable. It's an amazing opportunity at the same time.
That's why, you know, I always point out both sides, but I consider myself now a prop firm or prop trading ambassador, because the opportunity is just mind blowing for people, right? Not only for people who are undercapitalized, no, for everyone, right? For everyone. It's
maybe even more for somebody who has the experience and proven track record of trading, you know?
Like, yes, because usually people say, yeah, it's great for people who are undercapitalized. No, it's great for me because I can really prove my skills. And, you know, when prop firms see what I'm capable of, they give me money.
Yeah. Well, that's just their target audience.
They throw money at me. They throw money at me and tell me trade that money, and I don't have any personal risk.
Yeah. Like, how can you beat that? Yeah.
How can you beat that? So that's why I'm like, I consider myself a prop trading ambassador. However, right, there's also this shady side going on in the prop space where to create a prop firm, it doesn't take a lot. So a lot of these prop firms are like a one-man show, and so there's no liquidity behind that prop firms in terms of funds. So and how do they make money, right? We all know that, but we can stress this again by selling challenges. So for a lot of these prop firms, the smaller prop firms, those one-man shows, like a consistently profitable trader with like a high allocation account is like a liability. It's like the enemy. We need to get rid of them because we're not because he is like on our P&L, he is a loss for us, and the profits are the challenge sales, right? So that's why this business is also a little bit shady, can be shady if you don't go to you're not going to an established prop firm. So that's why you have always both sides, but you have to point them out as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And so, yeah, I think using the more established prop firms that have the proven payout records is definitely the way to go. But it's an amazing opportunity if you're working with the ones that are trustworthy, and you know, so it's just that double-edged sword. You're primarily, you said you consider yourself a prop ambassador, and you obviously you're allocated with a ton of capital with prop firms. Do you still put a little aside? Do you have a personal cash account that you ever trade with? Do you have a backup cash account, or you're like, nah, I'm all in. I'm a prop guy.
Right now, no. No, I don't need that. Right now, I don't need to trade my own account.
Yeah. Okay.
Really, I don't need.
How do you? One more question on the prop firm. So you, like you said, you have the 4 million with the private prop firm, and then you have the you have FTMO. You have I think you said Funded Next. How do you decide like which one you're trading? Will you trade them all at the same time? Like if I'm going long soybeans or I'm short soybeans, do you put that trade on in every account?
Yes, if that market is available, yes. In soybeans, for instance, right, the market is, I don't have it in Funded Next. I don't have it in Funded. For instance, actually, it's quite. I have it in Search Trader. I have it in FTMO. Nowadays, they add slowly agricultural markets, which I'm very happy about. And through Forex funds, they had it as well, but now they're down, but they are hopefully back up next week. So I can jump into that as well in true Forex funds if they still have it. I don't know what's happening. I think they
yeah, I think they said they were. Yeah, they were. They're the ones who said they're no longer using U.S. customers. Is that what happened with them, or it was their tech partner?
Yeah, they had. I think U.S. customers are also out on true Forex funds, unfortunately. But it's in general also. For me, it was like really reliable so far, like super nice people. So if the market that I'm trading is available in all the prop firms and I'm placing the trade for all prop firms, if there is, like in Funded Next, I don't have soybeans, then I don't place it there. Otherwise, I would always place it in all.
Yeah, yeah. Because that could be obviously, you guys a lot, but that would probably be the simplest way to do it is place the same trades on all the accounts.
Of course, I don't do like any different. Yeah.
You're not doing the word is slipping my head, but like you're not putting on one of these other accounts the opposite trade on as a.
Oh my gosh!
Because then you're like rooting against yourself. You know what I mean?
That's like would be like the word.
Hedging. That's the word. Hedging is the word I was looking for. You're not hedging any of your positions.
I've never hedged in my entire life. Hedging is just so dumb. Anyway,
I think from a mental perspective, it would drive me crazy because you know what I mean. It's like what position do I root for?
If you want to get out of the trade, get out of the trade. Don't hedge your trade. Like it's so dumb. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. You'll end up losing on both sides. Yeah.
Which can happen. Yeah.
So do you have any other list of specific trading rules that you follow? Like if something is happening in your personal life, will you not take a trade, or just are you experienced enough at this point that you kind of just do things by feel? You don't have a checklist of rules that are.
Yeah, like full disclosure, I don't have that anymore. In the beginning, I had that, and it's also important that people are journaling and logging very, very how to say, like they should log and journal just everything, right? In the very beginning, it's really important because you get to know yourself in trading like on a different level, and this is how you can also then at some point when it comes to logging and journaling, then you can tweak your strategy and tweak your also the way how you maybe, as you said, hey, if you day trade. In the past, I give you one example because I was also, when I still had the corporate job, I was also doing like 60-minute kind of charts, also sometimes went into 5-minute charts, that when I had a really bad day at work, like a fight with my supervisor or like a colleague or just like a shitty day at work, and I tried to compensate that with trading. I had the worst trades, like I was doing revenge trading. I was doing market orders just because all the anger I had at work, I was like kind of transitioning into my trading, and it's like these days were like the most horrible trades, and I had to lock that too. I had to lock that and journal this to see, hey, if I have a bad day at work, you better don't go like into the market. You keep your laptop shut down, and you don't even open it because these days are horrible when it comes to trading results. So yes, in the beginning I can only encourage people. They have to do this properly, right? The logging and the journaling. Right now, to be honest, I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I don't need that. I really don't need that.
Yeah. When you've been trading 12 years, I think you probably, and you with success for a long time, I'm sure you get to a point where you kind of know yourself and what you need to do. What was your journaling process? Were you a pen and paper guy? Did you keep stats on your computer? Have you ever used something like, now there's the TradeZella tool that exists?
Yeah, no. So really, like between us, back in the day, I used the Excel sheet, just a normal Excel sheet that I kind of created myself, right? Yeah. But right now, again, For beginner, it's different. I'm just talking about me personally. I don't like my $2 million account is my FX book. My $2 million account, that A book is my FX book verified. It's an MT5 account. It's my FX book verified. It's for the investors. If they get more money from other investors, to basically they can see my stats. That's the only that's the only way that I know that my average trade length in the past 6 months is like 22 days. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. And I wouldn't, to be honest, I just wouldn't care. I wouldn't, because this right now at my stage, it doesn't give me any benefit. Like all these KPI doesn't, for me, it's like I'm consistently profitable. I make more money than I lose, a lot more than I lose. I just don't need to know all these KPIs right now. I had all my tracking I was doing in the past few years, and I know what I had to like. And this is where I tweaked my strategy and where I tweaked my risk to reward profile, my win-loss ratio, and all these things I tweaked back in the days. Right now, I'm at a stage where I would say, I don't need all of that. I just need to get into the right trade and then follow my rules. And that's basically it. But maybe for day trading and scalping, it would be different. But the way how I trade, so I had 32 trades in the past 6 months. Like, yeah, right. So
yeah, I do that sometimes in an afternoon, Bernd.
Yeah.
What am on tilt? 32.
What 32 trades? I have this in one day. Well, I have this
it's like pressing the button.
So you see, like for me, it's really I don't need that anymore. But again, I'm not benchmark for people. I don't want people to watch this like in channel, watch stuff. And Bernd said because he's doing that now, I have to do this as well. It's just like always based. Where are you in your in your journey? You know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, people. When Bernd first started, he tracked his trades. You should be tracking your trades.
Yeah. Exactly, tracking and.
So you said your average hold time 22 days. But obviously, like you just mentioned, you don't pay attention to those stats a lot. How do you not over manage those trades? I would imagine because even though you said your average hold time is 22 days, you did mention earlier how you're always looking at the charts, right? You always want to, but you always are looking at charts. You're always paying attention, right? So are you just completely hands-free once, you said 1-to-1 R, you're going to move your stop to break even. If the trade goes to 1-to-1 R and pulls back to where you're up 0.5 R, for say, will you ever be like, you know what, I'm going to add to this position because I still believe in it. So I'm going to put another $10,000 on the same trade? Or will you just don't touch it and let it ride?
Yeah. So by the way, the 22 days, I was also surprised when I saw that stat. I was like, wow, I was like, maybe it's half of it, but it was eventually 22 days. That's what the KPI says. So that's why I'm saying that,
Yeah. But I can imagine like 22 days, right?
I was surprised as well. I thought it's like 2 weeks or so, but then it's 22 days. It was like kind of surprised. Anyway, that's just a funny anecdote. No, I think like, and this is, I think, really important that in my trading journey and what I had to develop over the years. And I think everyone should develop that. I got pretty numb to numbers. So I repeat, I got pretty numb to numbers because nowadays I practice for myself. It's almost like meditation that I only follow the process, that I don't look at the dollar amounts, that I don't look at my P&Ls. I don't open my MT5. I don't open anything where I can see my P&L moving up and down and up and down. This is really important because I think when it comes to trading, it's so important to get away from that money-centered trading, from that money-focused trading, because that's eventually what we are doing, right? We are chasing the dollars, but getting away from that kind of money-centered trading, going into that process-oriented trading and just trading based on your rules, trading based on a process helped me personally tremendously to game my trading and to become so much better, because then I'm not chasing the dollars. I'm not like, hey, shit, I'm up $30,000. Now I got the retracement $15,000. So I'm down again $15,000. And now, like getting all these fluctuations and seeing that, like, this makes you crazy. I fully admit, like, this makes me crazy. If I look at if I looked at my P&L day in and day out for like minutes and hours, this would drive me nuts, all these fluctuations.
Yeah,
right?
I could imagine.
Yeah, this drives me crazy. So that's why I developed the process, some rules that I say, okay, I don't look at my P&L at all. I have everything I've before I get into a trade, I know what I'm going to do. It's like kind of pre-planned. So everything is, my entire rules are pre-planned. How I enter the trade, when I move my stop loss to break even, and when I take profits. Basically, I don't have a target, but I know if I'm overvalued or undervalued, or if this or this shifts, and I take profits, right? So everything is pre-planned. So regardless of my P&L, because I don't look at my P&L, I follow my set of rules, if this makes sense. So I encourage everyone to try slowly to go from being money-centered to process-oriented, and this makes a big difference in trading.
Absolutely, that's some fantastic advice. It's hard to do. It definitely is, to detach from the money and think about it, and it is, because I know when I get up in a position, I'm good at holding my winners, but like I want to start to be like, maybe I should just take like, you know, a couple contracts off just to lock in some profit. And then, you know, you start over managing it instead of just sticking to your plan and your rules and letting the trade play out.
Yeah, yeah, of course, you know, it's easier said than done. That's how you say it, right? Easier said than done.
Yeah.
But that's why it's also process. That's also like everything in trading. It's like a journey. It's like a process. It doesn't just, okay, now from today, tomorrow, I start to be process oriented. I'm getting away from the money. No, it's like a slow process until you like really get used to that. But I'm now at the stage where, yeah, of course, it's still like everything like trading will always be challenging in terms of, because also you and me, we all want to like get to the next level. What does the next level mean is also, of course, we want to get better with like the strategy and our execution, all this kind of stuff. But next level means also increase the funds, right? And with prop trading, we just do more challenges or get more, raise more capital or whatever it is. So we want to have more funds. So this is basically raising the bar for us. So having more money at risk at the same time as well. So more risk means more, sorry for my language, more mental fuck up, right? More risk means it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure with how much money you risk, but you know, if you risk today $1,000, if you take the same trade today with $1,000 risk and tomorrow with $10,000 risk, you would behave differently with the $10,000 risk trade, right? Because it's like all of a sudden you're like, shit, I've never traded with so much money, right?
Yeah.
I'm just making these numbers up,
Yeah,
by
yeah.
the way, right?
Yeah.
Or I've never, like, you would completely, although you have your set of rules, although you have the same trade setup and you traded that setup so many times, you would be different, right? You would be different because it's more money. And that's why I always say people have slowly to get used to more capital, to more money, to more risk slowly. There's no like, like people who are like, okay, they traded before $20 in their personal account and now they're taking a $200,000 challenge. Maybe they passed the challenge, all of a sudden they're taking $2,000 risk, $20 to $2,000.
Yeah.
This is not, they will not get to their first payout, by the way.
No.
Right? So that's why
No.
it's a different ball game and people have to understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The being focused on the process and sticking to those rules and the charts is some great advice. I totally agree with you on that one. Last question. I think you might have just been asked this question. Is the traders fight stuff that's been going around, right? You got the Muay Thai.
I believe it's the last podcast you did. Somebody asked you want to
Tyler, I cannot hear you anymore. I cannot hear you anymore.
I purposely did not listen to who you answered. I don't know the answers. I was like, I don't want to know who he called out. I want to ask him.
Is there anybody that you would go in the ring with?
I don't know. I'm very sorry that I don't know his name, but I would call him the founder of ICT.
I don't know his name either, but that's awesome. That's good. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's good. I've seen pictures of him, and based off of seeing what kind of shape you're in and and maybe he's in good shape. I think I've only seen like a headshot, but I got my money on you, Bernd.
I got my money.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah,
it's my account on you.
High probability trade, right? High probability, low risk, and high reward. Maybe not high reward because anyway, no, yeah, that's yeah.
Well, listen. Make sure you share your workout routine with me, because next time we do this, I want to look as good as you do. I want to get them guns. Also, your skin care routine, is that the Thailand sun? Is it like how you spend some time in the sun? Is it you fake bacon? What are you doing, Bernd? You getting that fake tan or is that a real tan?
No, it's real tan. Let me talk about the trader lifestyle. I live to set and forget and get a lifestyle, right? I can spend the whole day in the sun right now.
There you go. There you go.
And I live in Dubai. There's no rain. I live in Dubai. Yeah.
So yeah, what else to do? 22 days.
What else
place
to do?
the trade and you go out and you suntan. That's it.
Exactly.
Trading's that simple. It's
that simple, man. It's that simple. Yeah, right. So no, but if where are you based? Like where are you from actually? Like you're in the States, but where exactly?
Yeah, so I'm in the United States. I live a little bit outside the city of Pittsburgh, which is in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so, never been there. I've been in Boston. I've been in California. I've been in these places, but I've never been there. No, okay.
Yeah,
because I thought like if I coming to the States or you come to Dubai, like we get in the ring together.
Hey, listen. I'm not very big, but I'm scrappy. I'm telling you, I'm tougher than I look, man. I'm tougher than I look. I'm telling you.
Okay, I'm calling out you. I'm in.
I'll have to start trading.
I'm calling out Tyler.
Listen, well, here's what I'm thinking. Once the house is built, I'll just come to Thailand.
Yes.
We'll do another one of these in person, a little Thailand vacation. We'll get in the ring, And
then we do proper Muay Thai.
But yeah, that's perfect. Oh, I'm going to get my ass kicked so bad. Oh, well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time out. I really appreciate it, man. It was good. And I'm definitely going to keep checking out, more of your content and your strategies on YouTube. And I think everybody else should. If you guys don't follow Bernd, his YouTube is amazing. His Instagram is great. I don't know if he's on any other socials. I think he does. You do teach as well too. Is there, if anybody's interested in learning from you?
We have everything. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
And we'll talk to you again soon.
Talk soon. Yes. Bye-bye.